This is a CBS News Miami special report.
This is Maribel Rodriguez live from the newsroom here on CBS 4 News. Right now, you're taking a look at a traffic camera right there heading into Miami Beach. This is on the MacArthur Causeway. You can see traffic is backed up in that area heading eastbound into the beach. It appears that it is down to one lane. The reason why is that there's a seaplane that went down on Government Cut. This is near the PortMiami. This is on the southbound side of the MacArthur Causeway. We did see just a few minutes ago through the traffic camera that that seaplane is partially submerged in the water. There are several rescue boats out there. Miami-Dade Police is also out there with their boat. We are hearing reports there were 7 people on board that seaplane. They have been rescued. They're at a triage center right now. We're also hearing that there are no injuries reported to these 7 passengers aboard that seaplane. Right now, they're investigating, figuring out exactly what happened. But again, this is a traffic camera looking at the MacArthur Causeway. This is the 395. These are the eastbound lanes heading into Miami Beach. You can see traffic is backed up. We've been hearing about this situation for a few minutes now about a seaplane that came down Government Cut near PortMiami. We did see that seaplane is partially submerged. Our Chopper 4 is headed to the scene. We're hearing they'll be there in just a few minutes. So right now we're taking a live look at this traffic camera right now. So if you are planning on heading to Miami Beach, have some patience. This is another view of that camera. You see the westbound lanes are running pretty smoothly. However, heading eastbound, heading into Miami Beach, that's where traffic is backed up, because on the southbound side of the MacArthur Causeway, that's, if you're familiar with that area, that is PortMiami where the cruise ships are. That's where that seaplane with submerged, it came down into the water. Now, these seaplanes do land on the water. However, they still don't know exactly what happened to this plane to land on its side and partially submerged. We're hearing reports there were 7 people on board that plane. Those 7 passengers have been rescued. They are at a triage center nearby. We're trying to figure out exactly where. However, we are hearing reports. Fortunately, there are no injuries, and they do not want to be transported to a hospital. Again, the camera just paused for a minute. This is a traffic camera of the MacArthur Causeway. So we're now taking a look at the east and the westbound lanes of the MacArthur Causeway. Again, the westbound lanes heading out of Miami Beach, that traffic is running smoothly. Eastbound into Miami Beach, that is backed up. Again, if you're just joining us, this is breaking news from CBS News Miami. A seaplane came down, partially submerged, Government Cut near PortMiami. And as you can imagine, traffic, this is just adding to it. People heading into South Beach for the South Beach Wine and Food Festival, which began yesterday. A lot of people, a lot of tourists. It's happening all weekend. So if you are planning on heading into Miami Beach, have some patience while they deal with this situation. We did see several rescue boats. We did see Miami-Dade Police rescue boats out there as well. And usually there is traffic on the MacArthur Causeway heading into the beach due to the drivers and tourists possibly taking a look at all these cruise ships that are usually out there. And this is just adding to the traffic heading into Miami Beach. Chopper 4 is almost on the scene. They should be arriving in just a few minutes right now. So right now we're taking a live look from our traffic camera on the 395, the MacArthur Causeway into Miami Beach. As you can see, traffic heading into the beach is moving quite slowly due to a situation there in PortMiami. So we're trying to figure out exactly how this happened, what caused this seaplane to come down. As we know, these seaplanes do land in the water, usually on Watson Island. So we're still trying to determine exactly where they were going and where they were landing and what caused it to land in that specific spot there in Government Cut, which obviously that's not where they're supposed to land, or if it was taking off possibly from that area, which customary there in Watson Island. So we're still trying to gather all this information. Again, this is breaking news. We're taking a live look at the traffic cameras there on the 395, the MacArthur Causeway, heading in and out of Miami Beach. Again, Chopper 4 is just a few minutes away from the scene, trying to figure out exactly where this is. So we, of course, are going to stay on this shot and wait for Chopper 4 to arrive. Also, we're making phone calls to find out exactly what happened and how this happened and what caused. So right now, Chopper 4, we're being told, just arrived on the scene right now. And these are live pictures from Chopper 4 of PortMiami. As you can see, they're trying to find exactly where the seaplane is. But just bear with us because we are seeing these pictures firsthand as of you right now. Chopper 4 just arriving on the scene. So let's update you as to what we know so far. So about a half hour ago, we heard reports of a seaplane that came down there in PortMiami. This will be on the southbound side of the MacArthur Causeway. We did see it was partially submerged. We're hearing reports there were 7 passengers on board. These are reports we're hearing. Nothing has been confirmed. And also we're hearing that there are no injuries. There you go. We're going back to, these are pictures of Chopper 4 or the traffic camera. I'm sorry. These are pictures of the traffic camera. And right now you see, there you're seeing the wing of the plane. So you can see it's on its side. So one wing is partially submerged, the other wing is sticking out right there. You can see there are several rescue boats that are in that area. Also, you can see the traffic is obviously backed up. You see some onlookers there on the side of the MacArthur Causeway. And those are several police officers there. They're monitoring the situation. So right now, we just want to keep you updated as to what happened. Keep in mind, if you are heading into Miami Beach, as we know, it's a South Beach Wine and Food Festival. A lot of people driving into Miami Beach today. So have some patience because this is a situation that you will be dealing with. We don't know exactly how long this will be going on, but just have some patience. Of course, we are on top of the story. We're making our phone calls. So if you're just joining us, this is what's happening. About a half hour ago, we heard reports of a small seaplane that came down. Now, these seaplanes do land on the water. We don't know if it was taking off or if it was landing here in Miami Beach. We're trying to figure it out and what caused the plane to land that way. So we're going to go to some video right now. This is video sent to us from a CBS 4 viewer. You get a better picture of that seaplane. As you can see, it is on its side, and one of the wings, it's submerged in the water. So it appears it had a hard time when it landed in the water and it went onto its side. But we are hearing reports there were 7 passengers on board, possibly 7 passengers on board. They were all rescued. They have been taken to a dock, and we're also hearing reports there are no injuries. There you see the propeller is still moving right now. So you see the bottom of that plane. That's where what they use to land on to land on the water. Right now, it's on its side. This is video. Is this video of Chopper 4 that we're seeing right now? Yeah. This is video. This is a live video of Chopper 4 right now. But it appears it's still on because you see the propeller still moving. So they're obviously securing this boat to make sure that everything is okay. But we can't tell you. We're hearing reports that the 7 passengers that were on board that seaplane have been rescued and they appear to be okay. So once again, this is happening on the government cut. This is near PortMiami. This is going to be on the southbound side of the MacArthur Causeway. If you are heading into Miami Beach, obviously it is causing a lot of traffic, and we're getting a wider view right now of that situation there. I'm counting at least 7 or 8 rescue boats that are in that area. They're surrounding that seaplane that came down. We were to guess about a half hour ago. That's when we started hearing the reports of this happening. These are live pictures of Chopper 4. Right now over the situation that's happening right there on Miami Beach. So if you are familiar with these seaplanes, they do land in the water, and there's an area there in Watson Island where they take off and they land. There is a company. We're trying to figure out exactly if it was landing, if it was taking off. We're trying to figure that out right now. But what we can tell you is right now, from what we see with our eyes, is that there's a seaplane on its side. From one vantage point, we see one of the wings submerged into the water, and the propeller is still moving. So it appears that the engine of that plane is still on. That's the reason why they are securing this plane. So once again, if you're heading into Miami Beach, you will be encountering quite a bit of traffic there on the MacArthur Causeway on the 395 heading into Miami Beach. And this is a situation why. There's a seaplane that came down. We can tell you no one is on board. We are hearing that all passengers that were on board that seaplane have been rescued. They have been taken to a dock, and there are no reports of injuries. Again, right now there are several boats, several rescue boats that are out there. They are securing this seaplane that came down about a half hour ago right there in Government Cut near PortMiami. So as you can imagine, this is adding so much more to that traffic. On a normal day, there is traffic heading into Miami Beach due to the onlookers of all the cruise lines that are there. So this is just adding so much more to it. We're getting some information right now, and bear with me because I am just getting it right now. And this is the information that we're getting right now from Miami-Dade Fire. They say a call came in as reports of a downed seaplane. A total of 7 passengers were on board. All passengers are out of the vessel and out of the water. There are no reported injuries, and there will be no transport. So that is very good news. This again is coming from Miami-Dade Fire. So again, we just got that word. These are live pictures right now from PortMiami. This is on the southbound side of the MacArthur Causeway. I don't know if we can get, once again, the traffic cam video just to show our viewers exactly the traffic if they are heading into Miami Beach, what they will be dealing with. But again, Chopper 4 right now, it appears that plane is still on. You see the propeller is still going. So again, for all those who are familiar with these seaplanes, they land and they take off from the water. We see them in that area of Miami Beach, so we still don't know exactly if the plane was taking off or if it was landing there in Miami Beach. Usually they take off from Watson Island, which is right near PortMiami. So that's the area where we usually see them taking off and arriving. So again, we have confirmed from Miami-Dade Fire, 7 passengers were on board that plane. 7 of them have been rescued. They are out in the water, and there are no reported injuries at this time. Right now, they're just securing that boat. We're still trying to figure out exactly what they will do with that boat, because it appears that the plane is still running. So that could be a concern. Right, so we're just getting information, which makes a lot of sense, that today, usually at 4 o'clock, 4 or 5 o'clock is when all the cruise ships do leave. Today is Friday, and you see all the cruise ships that are there right now. So this also could be affecting the cruise ships that will be heading out at around 4, 5 o'clock, that we see all the cruise ships that are heading out. So again, we're assessing the situation. We're making calls. We're trying to figure out exactly how this happened, how it will be affecting not only traffic, but a good point that we just made here about the cruise ships that will be heading out around 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon on a Friday afternoon, which you have a good amount of traffic of cruise ships that are leaving there on government cut. And we've seen already 2 or 3 ships. We did see Carnival Cruise Lines that is there, possibly getting ready to sail out. So this could be affecting the cruises, also affecting the traffic in that area. And this is live pictures right now from our traffic cam. This is facing westbound on the MacArthur Causeway. There you see to the left of your screen. This will be on the southbound side of the MacArthur Causeway. There you see several police boats, rescues right there surrounding this seaplane that came down more than a half hour ago there on government cut. And these are live pictures right now from Chopper 4. As you can see from the water, it appears that seaplane is still running. There you see Miami-Dade Fire Rescue. Their boat is there. They're just standing by, or we don't know if they're trying to get a little closer to that boat. Exactly what's going to happen, they will probably have to tow the plane from that area to make way, obviously, for the cruises so they can leave on time and not delay. We can tell you, which is very good news, that the 7 passengers that were on board that seaplane, they have all been rescued. They have been transported. They are out of the water, and there are no injuries to report. So this could have been a lot worse. Right now, what we have is a seaplane on its side there in the water, one of the wings partially submerged in the water there on government cut. So again, if you're just joining us right now, these are live pictures. Chopper 4. A seaplane came down near PortMiami. This is on government cut, where you see all the cruise ships when you are heading into Miami Beach on the southbound side of the MacArthur Causeway, 395. There you see, again, it is still running. This happened more than a half hour ago. We started hearing the reports of this happening. Chopper 4 arrived on the scene about 15 minutes ago to give us some live pictures of the scene there right now. So it appears right now they're just at a standstill trying to figure out exactly what to do with this plane. I don't know if they're waiting for it to just stop running on its own, or they will try to figure out exactly how to move that seaplane from where it is at, because right now it is affecting traffic, and it is affecting the traffic flow there in government cut for the cruise ships that will be leaving in the next few hours. At least we have seen at least 3 cruise ships in Port Miami ready to set sail. It is a Friday afternoon, and they usually set sail between 4 and 5 o'clock this afternoon. And this is right in the waterway where these cruise ships do head out of Port Miami. So again, we are monitoring your situation. We're making all these phone calls, but we can tell you the good news is that all 7 passengers on board that seaplane have been rescued. They are out of the water, and there are no injuries reported. There are several rescue boats out there. It seems they're just standing by and just waiting to see exactly what's going to happen. But these are like pictures right now of that seaplane. No one is on board because all 7 passengers, according to Miami-Dade police, they have all been rescued. They're out of the water. They were taken to a dock, and they all appear to be okay. So again, for all those familiar with these seaplanes, they fly out of the water. They depart from the water and they land in the water. So exactly what caused it to land on its side, where it shouldn't be landing, because this is not a landing strip for these seaplanes. This is government cut. It should not be landing there. So a lot of investigating right now. What happened? What causes this seaplane to land in the middle of government cut, where they usually take off and land near Watson Island? So again, we are monitoring this situation very closely. We do have a crew that's on the scene. Again, we're going to go back to regular programming. However, we will continue to follow this story. We're telling us no. We're going to wait for a little bit. Are we getting some more information right now that our viewers should know about? I apologize. I'm speaking with my producer right now, who is telling us to keep this going for a little bit longer right now. So once again, it's just about 2:20, and we started hearing these reports just at about 1:30, 1:45 of the small plane, seaplane that came down in government cut. Of course, we will go back to regular programming, and we will stay on the stream on CBS News Miami. So continue to stay with us. Port Miami. This is just south of the MacArthur Causeway. You see several rescue boats that are surrounding the seaplane that came down. We can tell you, according to Miami-Dade Fire, 7 passengers were on board. 7 passengers have been rescued. They have been taken out of the water on a dock, and no injuries to report, which is great news there. However, this is causing major delays eastbound on the MacArthur Causeway heading into Miami Beach. Keep in mind, yesterday, South Beach Wine and Food Festival began there in Miami Beach. And we're getting a wider picture right now. This is where it appears that some of the seaplanes, a seaplane company, that's where they depart. And for those of you familiar, this is right by the Children's Museum. This is by the Children's Museum, and that's where the seaplanes fly out of and land. So we can't confirm whether it was departing or whether it was landing, and if this was one of the seaplanes that belonged to that company. But again, we're following all this. We're trying to gather all this information for you. Still a lot of unanswered questions. But what we can tell you that has been confirmed: 7 passengers on board that seaplane. They are safe. They have been rescued. They have been taken out of the water, and there are no injuries to report. What it is causing backup there on government cut. We know that this is very busy for the cruise ships that will be heading out in just a few hours. We have seen at least 3 or 4 cruise ships that leave on a Friday afternoon. Also boats that travel that area. So all that area on government cut, that has been blocked off, and it is also affecting traffic on the MacArthur Causeway heading eastbound into Miami Beach. So if you are heading in that direction, keep that in mind. You are watching breaking news right now, CBS in Miami. We'll continue to follow this story, and we'll have the latest on news at 5. And you can also watch our streaming channel, cbsmiami.com, where our coverage continues. into Miami Beach on the MacArthur Causeway. So if you are heading in that direction to the South Beach Wine and Food Festival, have some patience. You may want to wait until this is all cleared because this is going to take quite some time. Also, this is causing boat traffic on Government Cut, which there's a lot of boats. It is a Friday afternoon. Cruises heading out. Also, later this afternoon, we have at least 3 or 4 that leave on a Friday afternoon. So we still don't know exactly what's going to happen, if this is going to cause the cruise ships to get delayed. But I am sure they're probably going to try to resolve the situation as soon as possible so that does not happen and there's not a backup with the cruise lines. What we've been seeing so far for at least the last 20 minutes or so, we can see these rescue boats. They're basically just surrounding this plane. We haven't seen a lot of movement. We haven't seen anyone actually in the water. It could be quite dangerous at this point because from our vantage point, that seaplane is still running by the looks of the propeller and where you see all the movement there on the water. So right now, these boats are still in their idle positions. They're not moving. They're just waiting around, trying to figure out exactly. We don't know exactly. We know that most of them are rescue boats, but the passengers that were on that seaplane, they have all been rescued. We're told from Miami-Dade Fire, confirmed there were 7 passengers on board. 7 of them have been taken out of the water. They're on a dock, and there are no injuries to report. One thing they'll have to be concerned about, obviously, is the fuel spilling into the bay. So they will have to be careful, obviously, with the environmental impact. Thank you, Jim DeFede, for giving me that information. Always thank you for your insight about that. So that's one more thing they have to think of right now. And if the seaplane is still moving, which appears that it is, and also in the waterway where it is, which is Government Cut, which is very busy, especially on a Friday, all the boats traveling, possibly people going by boat into Miami Beach for the South Beach Wine and Food Festival. So this is impacting not only, Government Cut and the boats. As you can see, there are no boats in that area, but it's also affecting traffic heading into Miami Beach. The eastbound lanes we've seen, if we can take a look at our traffic cameras once again, this is a look. This is eastbound, correct? No, this is the westbound lanes. I'm sorry, heading out of Miami Beach. On the left-hand side, you see the traffic heading eastbound into Miami Beach. I'm sorry. The right side is eastbound. The left side is leaving the beach. Right. I apologize. Right there you see to the right-hand side of the MacArthur Causeway is where the cruise ships are. And you can see there are several cruise ships right now, possibly getting ready to sail out. They usually sail out today on a Friday between 4 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's the situation right now. This is a live picture right now, a traffic cam of the MacArthur Causeway heading eastbound into Miami Beach. And it seems that the traffic is moving a little bit better than what we saw earlier about a half hour ago. There you see, and this is the problem. This is what's causing that traffic backup, not only on Government Cut for boat traffic, but also for vehicular traffic there on the MacArthur Causeway. You see a seaplane that came down. We heard reports close to about an hour ago of the seaplane that came down. These seaplanes do land in the water, however, what caused it to land in that specific spot there in Government Cut, which is not where they should be landing. We don't know exactly what happened. Also, we haven't been able to confirm if it was taking off from that area, which is, there is a company, if those of you familiar with that area, it is right by the Miami Children's Museum there once you are heading into Miami Beach on the eastbound side of the MacArthur Causeway. There's a company of seaplanes. So we don't know exactly if the seaplane was taking off or if it was landing, but for it to land there in Government Cut, obviously something went wrong. If we can get a tighter shot right now of that seaplane, it is on its side, the propeller is still on, and one of the wings is submerged into the water. It is on its side. We did hear from Miami-Dade Fire, and we did confirm there were 7 passengers on board. They were all rescued. They were taken to a doctor out of the water, and there are no injuries to report. We did call PortMiami. They told us right now no impact to cruises, which is very good news. We were talking about that. That was our concern, that the cruise lines were going to be impacted by this, and that, of course, could change depending on how long it takes to get the plane out of that area. And a good point that Jim DeFede mentioned about the environmental impact and any fuel fuel spillage that this plane could cause. But again, you can see that plane partially submerged on its side. This is a seaplane. It is still on. You see the propeller still moving. So at this point, the rescue boats, they're in idle position. They're just standing by, figuring out how to move this plane from that area. Obviously, they have to move it sooner rather than later. But again, we did call PortMiami. Good news is that this is not impacting cruises, which was a concern for us because there are several cruises that are getting ready to sail out today on a Friday afternoon between 4 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Also, the traffic heading into Miami Beach, it is backed up, and adding to all this traffic, South Beach Wine and Food Festival, a lot of people making their way into Miami Beach. Also, rush hour traffic is in just a few hours, so we are hoping that this plane will be removed or towed from this area and taken to a secure location. So again, we first heard the reports at around 1:30 this afternoon of a seaplane that came down in Government Cut. This is near the cruises near PortMiami. According to Miami-Dade Fire Rescue, we can confirm the 7 people that were on board, they have all been rescued out of the water onto a dock, and there are no injuries reported. So that is great news right now. As you can see, there are several. We've counted at least 6 or 7 rescue boats in the water right now. They're in idle position. They're waiting to figure out how to move the plane. It appears the propeller is now moving a little slower, so we're not sure if they're just waiting for just the fuel to just run out and the plane to stop on its own. But of course, we are continuing to follow this story. This is happening, a seaplane on Government Cut near PortMiami that came down around 1:30 this morning. The good news, all 7 people on board that plane have been rescued and no injuries to report. We, of course, will stay on top of the story all afternoon and have much more on CBS News Miami starting at 5.